still continue to remain flat. So the whole challenge is to bring this dream and what is possible down to the ground. It's a real privilege and honor to be talking here about what some of our experience has been in trying to personalize learning for children. I was asked to speak about personalized learning for the gifted, talented, and bright learner. The term itself, gifted, talented, and bright, it itself has three very different kinds of learners with very different aspirations, with very different ways of learning, ways of consuming information, ways of getting motivated. So for the sake of simplicity, I'm just going to bucket gifted and talented into one area and bright into another area, and just look at one specific set of learners or students and see what personalized learning for them would mean. This is Arushi, my daughter, my 8-year-old daughter. She goes to a school in Gurgaon. She's a very bright kid, smart kid. She loves to read, do math. Typically is very popular with teachers because she always likes to be at the top. She always likes to meet expectations of the teachers, loves going to school. This is his friend Abhiram. He is in 4th grade, again in another very sought after school in Gurgaon. And he's a smart kid as well. But he does not like to go to school. He loves to read, he loves to do math, he loves to break apart things, put them together, but hates school. For his parents, every PTM is a back and forth between the teacher and them, because the teacher will say he's not engaged in class. He doesn't want to do anything. He's sitting there looking bored. He will fidget. He's going to try and talk to the person sitting next to him. But he's a smart kid. I know him very, very closely. Based on these discussions, I recommended his parents to go through psychometric testing, and when they went through the testing, which was, by the way, a very expensive process, they realized that he's exceptionally gifted. His IQ was beyond the charts, beyond 140. His reading levels are at 8th grade levels when he's in 4th grade. His math capability are at 7th grade levels, and the school and he's changed multiple schools. The schools consistently say, look, this guy does not learn. He's not engaged. So both of them are smart kids. The difference is, when I look at Arushi, she's a bright kid. And when you think about bright children, if you ask the question, they know the answer. They want to tell you. They want to get that gratification of being good, being able to tell. When you look at a gifted child, he knows the answer too. But he might not want to even tell you. He's asking more questions to go deeper into that topic. A bright child is at the top of the group. A gifted child is beyond the group. Many a times they will not even engage with the group within the class because what he's thinking or what they are thinking about is way beyond. The bright child will work hard to achieve, whereas the gifted child, they just know. It just comes naturally to them. They genetically are smarter and it just comes to them. The bright children tend to enjoy school, whereas the gifted child tends to enjoy self-directed learning. Abhiram, many of the speakers mentioned Khan Academy, so he spends significant amount of time on Khan Academy. For him, Salman Khan is like God. and that is the Sal Khan of Khan Academy, not the one Khan. So I call him the Khan of the geeks. So he enjoys being on that. He has gone through the robotics curriculum on Khan Academy and the math curriculum on Khan Academy, the coding and so on and so forth. But in school, he is every day making some other excuse to go to school, to not go to school. The bottom line is, when you think about bright children, they are open to conforming. You know, they are open to working in the system that we are working with. When you're thinking about gifted children, they are non-conformists. They are not ready to conform. And history is replete with many such examples of people who have been gifted, but they disliked school, and particularly, the second characteristic is particularly the subject or the class in which they eventually excelled. And I'll just talk about a few of them. A world-famous musician who loved music, his music broke all records, but the class that he hated most in school was music. Any guesses? Anybody knows who I'm talking about? Paul McCartney. He hated music. He was fortunate enough to have a collaboration with John Lennon and find a similar partner who was able to fuel that passion and keep that collaboration going. Again, a world-famous performer who was kept away from school choir because they thought that his voice would ruin their sound. Anybody? Elvis Presley. A field medalist in mathematics, professor at Princeton. His class at Princeton is supposedly the most popular class on campus, and the subject that he disliked most in school was mathematics. Manjul Bhargava, yes. And Sir has been instrumental in introducing me to him. And so he was fortunate enough again to have a mother, to have a figure at home, his mother, who was able to engage him in mathematics. She is a mathematician and was able to give life to his passion. But there are so many children whose sparks just do not get fueled and they fall off the track. And I personally know a lot of such people. I went to IIT Delhi. I have a friend who was amazing at physics. He loved physics. He didn't have to study for physics even when he was preparing for JEE. He got a decent rank in JEE. He wanted to do masters in physics. He begged his father to let him choose physics, but father insisted and cajoled him to finally join engineering. And he was moderate in engineering, and now over the last 20 years he's had a decent career, a mediocre average career. But he still loves physics. He still tinkers with physics. And I just kind of think, how much could he have given back to the society had he gone in the field of physics? And the sad part is, in the education system, even when you are doing counseling for JEE or so on, there is no understanding of what can be done with that diamond or with that person who has that passion in that field. One of the arguments that's given against spending more resources on gifted children is that this is such a small group. I mean, they are basically beyond the group. We have the whole curve. We have the whole curve to take care of. How can we be spending resources on this small group? The sad truth is that this challenge is not unique to just gifted children. It is unique to many sets of learners across the curve. And just to make a point, I will pick another example of a child I know who's on the other end of the spectrum, who we call the low performers. This child again goes to a very reputed school in Gurgaon. He's in 9th grade. He has struggled. He's had a troubled childhood. He has hated school. He has had troubled schooling. In 8th grade, he happened to join a basketball class and a drumming class. And he loved it so much. In 2 years' time, he is part of the school band. He loves playing music. And now, his performance in class has also improved because of that. Because his energies are being directed. And he's a better learner. The parents are now considering whether it's worth it to even do 11th and 12th, or you should just directly go into the field of music. The question is, why do schools struggle to teach differently when each child learns differently? Why does the heavy lifting have to happen between 8:30 to 2:30 when all of us, we all think differently, we all perform differently at different times of the day. But as Sir said, this is kind of coming from the factory model of education where this is most convenient to us. This is most financially viable system because we are risk averse. We are not willing to take that risk. But I'm convinced in my mind that there is just no choice but to shift the paradigm from the bell curve factory kind of model to personalized learning, not just for gifted children, but for all children along the curve. I want to show you a video before I end. Let me see if I can get to that. I will have to ask Kinner to help me next time to just embed it.
We're going to begin in just a couple of minutes, but we usually have a little bit of a preliminary conversation chat or two to discuss
one tool that will help
class that would ask questions of the profession system. It started 1,000 years ago.
And the way that we determine the winner is the team poll is obsolete. And here in round one to open and arguing for the motion, Anant Agarwal. He is a professor of electrical engineering and computer science at MIT. Founded by Harvard and MIT, he'll be making his way to the lectern to make his opening statement. It will be 7 minutes long, uninterrupted. Ladies and gentlemen, Anant Agarwal. Anant, let me just correct. I said 7 minutes. It's a 6-minute statement. Thank you.
I'm going back to when I was an undergraduate. 30 years ago, 31 years ago. I'm sitting in class. Yeah, this was like most of the classes I've been in. This was an IIT in Madras. Lots of bright kids around me, extraordinarily bright. And the 5th minute mark was my sort of transition point. I would follow everything the lecturer did, the instructor did until the 5th minute mark. And then at the 5th minute mark, I would lose the professor. And I would look around and everybody seemed to be following the professor, but I would have lost the professor. And then I spent the remaining hour simply scrambling, taking notes. Completely, I just lost the professor, scrambling, taking down every word, no idea what is going on.
How many of you can relate to that? Going back to your college days, school days? I can. And I've spoken to so many of my friends, and many of them from IIT, who can absolutely relate to that. And then what is the point of that lecture for that student sitting in the class when you've lost him at 5 minutes? So I think it is time that we, who represent part of the education system, get to the side of on the side of our children, the learner, rather than standing against them. Thank you.